So I've been given this fox's skull and I thought I would oil gild it for Halloween, but also to show you how to oil gild awkward objects. What I've got is a block of wood with a dowel in it, and at the back here there's a hole, so I'm going to put that on there, and that means once it's oiled I can just turn this around and put the gold leaf wherever I need without having to touch the object. There's usually some way of either hanging or propping up an awkward piece rather than have it flat on the bench and having to gild it and then turn it over. You really don't want to be doing that. So first things first is we're going to get some button polish because this is porous, so I want to seal it off. Then I'll be putting the oil size on. I'm just trying to decide what exactly I want to gild. I think I'm going to avoid the teeth and just do the bone. I've decided not to colour it at all. I'm just going to put this button polish straight on and then the oil straight on rather than put a yellow or a red or anything underneath it. I'm just going to let that dry for about 5 minutes, and then I'm putting on the Lefranc 12-hour oil size. Okay, that's nice and dry. I'm just going to actually take this off and oil this under here where it's really awkward to get to, while I can still hold the rest of the skull. Right, I think that is all the really awkward bits done. So I'll put this on here and get the rest done. That's oiled up now. I'm going to leave that overnight and we can gild it tomorrow. It's got a nice squeak to it. So I'm going to be using 23.75 carat loose leaf. So I'm just getting the last of the loose leaf off. You always get little fluffy bits, so it's always a good idea to get them all off. It's quite interesting, you can now see the texture of the skull, so you've got this really rough area here, which I think that's where muscle attachment is. I'm not 100% sure, but then you've got this smooth section. But you can see here, above the eye socket, these tiny little scratches. I think a mouse or a rat has had a bit of a gnaw there. Now you couldn't really see that on the skull. I've looked at the old photos that I took before I gilded it, and you can actually see them when you look for it, but you can't see them just at a casual glance. And it's interesting that the gold really shows it up. And that just goes to show that your sanding has to be perfect, because if you're doing anything with gesso and bowl, I know I haven't done that on here, but if you are doing that gesso and bowl, as soon as you put the gold leaf on, it's so shiny, so reflective, it shows up any little imperfection. So when you're gilding, you really do need to pay attention to all that preparation, unfortunately. I've got this mason jar that I've had for years. What I thought I'd do is drill a hole in the bottom, put a dowel in, and just sit him in there. Wow, I think that looks good. It does look a bit empty though. I do have a box full of more skulls, a bit of the lower jawbone there, but I've also got this tiny little mouse. This is too delicate to gild, but how about putting the mouse in the bottom there in some sort of homage to it eating the fox. Yeah, I think that's about macabre enough, isn't it? Right, there we go. Great, I'm glad I've gilded a skull. It was my first skull that I've ever gilded. Now I need to get back to proper antique gilding.